One thing that I deeply admire about you, it's your willingness to try new things with like this 100% abandon, which I love.
I love that. If you did something that was a mistake, you will take 100% responsibility. And I've done this with you where I would come to you and like, babe, I need you to listen. This is how I feel. No matter how hard it is, you will listen and you will apologize for your part. You take full responsibility for the mistake.
All right, welcome to this week's episode of the Interracial Couple Podcast.
Well, it's not all black and white. My name is Sarah.
And I am Matthew, and we are continuing our journey through the Lover's Journal, which is a journal for couples that helps map our journey through love
and harmony
and really towards building a healthier relationship. Sometimes when I say that, I get this sort of thought of like, well, what if my relationship's already healthy?
You can always, just because it's healthy doesn't mean it can even be deeper and healthier. I don't know.
Not more healthy, just healthier.
Yeah.
No, but I've thought about that quite a bit because I actually feel like we have, I feel so fortunate with the relationship that we have.
Okay.
And I feel like we have a really good one. And yet at the same time, my relationship is sufficient unto today. Like I have a great relationship today. But if I rest on these laurels, it's not necessarily good enough for tomorrow because I'm not either. Like I want to be, I want to continue my own process of development into today, tomorrow, next year, next decade. And I think that's true for my relationship as well.
Yeah, I think that what I'm realizing is that some of the things that make relationship feel kind of dead and boring and I don't know, it's that the couples don't evolve together. And I think this guided journal or this journal is really great because it's meant for couples to do it together. So you're growing together and you're getting to know what is changing in my partner, what is important to her today that wasn't important to her, I don't know, last year, or a couple years before that. Like, who is the woman that she's becoming? Who is the man that he's becoming? Like, what are his dreams? So it kind of like is that place where I think we meet and we spend a lot of time together, but just doing this journal is just making me realize so much things about where I am in our relationship and where our relationship is and where I want it to go.
Yeah, and I think there's this thing that you often hear when people are struggling around a breakup time or a divorce time is this idea that we've grown apart, and
someone has changed so much.
Right, you're not the man I married, you're not the woman I married, this kind of thing.
I hope they're not.
Yeah. Yeah, because otherwise you'd be a 50-year-old divorcing a 20-year-old, now it'd be kind of weird. Like, we grow apart, but we can actually also grow totally individually and actually still maintain a really strong relationship. And there are areas of our relationship, and we've talked about this before, where like a couple of years ago, we had a great year. We spent so much time together, but for 4 months out of the year at different times, we were not in the same country. And then even during that period of time when we were in the same country, there were times where like I went to stay at your mom's place or you were at your mom's place and I was at home. So there were these different times that we were apart from each other for extended periods of time or not extended, shorter periods of time. We have our own interests, our own growth. And I think that there are ways, and for us, for certain, that we can continue to grow as individuals while also strengthening, our connection.
Yeah, I think what happens for most of the times is that people grow individually and there's nothing that brings them together to grow together. So I think I don't know, but I think mostly like when couples say that, someone has changed so much, is that maybe some other person has been doing so much growth, but the other one is not aware. Right. Of like the work that, because there's so much to life, like just, like couples, like you can be in the same house and not sharing so much, especially like I can imagine if you have kids and you're busy and you're tired and you have a job, that this journal is like, it kind of feels like it's the thing that brings the two of you together to sit down and see like, you know, what's working, what's not working, where are we at.
Right. And you can be very, very different. Like you and I are not. We come from very different places. We are different races. We're different genders. We're different cultures. Our mother tongues are different. There's so many differences. And those differences don't actually have to be cavernous ravines between us. They actually, in our case, it makes us stronger. For some people, that's not the case. But when it's not the case, why isn't it? And what are the things that you can say, this makes, it's our vast differences that are our strengths. And there has to come back to, we talked about this last week, this mutual respect. And if I have this respect, even if I don't agree with what you're saying, I can respect it and I can trust your own process, that I can then be like, you know what? Hey, you doing you is not like you do you, fine. But it's like, yes, you do you, and I'll do me. And these places where we connect, let's strengthen those bonds towards our healthiest possible relationship, where our love becomes stronger, where our relationship really thrives.
Yeah, so we're on week 15 of the Lover's Journal this week. Do you want to read us a quote? And just so for those people who are like tuning in today, the Lover's Journal usually it has 3 guided questions and it has a quote.
Yep.
So do you want to read the quote of the week?
I will. It is, the most important thing in life is to learn how to give out love and let it come back in. That's from Morrie Schwartz, who I believe was a pretty, right? Morrie Schwartz, I think, was a famous therapist, if I remember correctly.
I do not know him.
Yep. And I could be totally wrong if somebody
Morris
knows how I'm wrong.
Could be a woman.
Could be.
They could be them.
He's not. So the most important thing is to learn how to give love out and let it come in. I think those things can be really, really hard. And I will say that when I think back on my own journey in love, actually learning how to receive love was hard. You know, I find that there's a certain catharsis for me, or a comfort in saying, like, I'm going to be there for you. And that's just not possible to sustain over long periods of time. It's also like I really had to learn how to be loved. And I remember on my 40th birthday, we hadn't been together for very long, and you didn't give me a gift, which was okay. But a year later, you gave me an Apple Watch. And you're like, here, I didn't give you anything last year. And I really wanted an Apple Watch. But it was so hard for me to accept that. I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And I was almost depressed for like a little while. It was this like, oh no, like I can't do this. This is so hard. Like that's too much. You know, and I also knew you were still a student. So like that was too big. Like, no, you can't do that. And
I was a student, but I was making a lot of money at that time.
Okay. That was really kind, and it was really hard for me. And I was like, I don't know if I can, and I said, I don't know if I can accept this gift. And you're not sentimental like I am. And
no, I am.
You're like, dude, yeah, you better get used to it. If you're going to be with me, I'm going to do nice things for you. I'm going to give you nice gifts. But that's this thing of like letting the love come in. Some people, it's easy. They're like, I can let it in. Like they're, takers. Sometimes you even hear in like relationships, people talk about someone's a vampire. They're sucking a lot of energy or whatever. And some people give, are kind of the opposite. I'm definitely more of a giver. And so learning how to let love come in was a challenge. And we put that here in week 15 because it is so important. And you were a big part of helping me to get to really be able to fully appreciate the love coming in.
Oh, that's nice to know about myself.
Yeah, you're pretty good. You're pretty good. I'm going to keep you around as long as you'll have me. Kicking off this week, I will start by sharing one thing that I deeply admire about you, my lover, my partner.
I am all ears. I'm all yours.
My fiancé.
I am listening.
It's your willingness to try new things with like this 100% like abandon, which I love. It's like, and so currently, a couple weeks ago, Sarah and I decided that we were going to start waking up at 4:30 in the morning which
I know.
means we have to go to bed at like 9 o'clock at night, which is totally crazy. And we won't get any reasons for it. It's not even like, we've got this big reason for it. It was just, I had been backpacking for a long weekend and Sarah had been fasting. We were just wiped and we just went to bed early, and we went to bed so early, we woke up super early. We're like, this is kind of cool. Like, let's keep doing this. And we are. You're not a morning person, but you're just willing to try new things. I'm not a morning person, but I'm going to try this with not like, I'm going to try this and prove that I'm right, that I don't like to get up in the morning. You're like, I am willing to try new things with the assumption that it's going to work. I admire deeply about you.
Oh, thank you. I don't know if I'm loving waking up at 4:30, but I'm going to try it on for a while.
Yeah,
Or maybe forever. Who knows?
I definitely don't love it, but there are things about it that I
Yeah.
definitely like a lot. Like, there are things that I'm really excited about. And like, so I go to bed early. Like, what am I missing out on? A little TV? Yeah. Leaving dinner at my brother's house a little earlier? Yeah, so what?
Being the party pooper.
Yeah.
We haven't done that. Like, it's COVID. We're not going out. It's the perfect time to try it on.
Yeah, it's working.
So I shared this with you. I think it was yesterday or the day before, about how you don't take things. And not just things, like shit, seriously. Like, the way I feel like in some ways, the way you talk about like things that I'm thinking would be traumatic for anyone else is that you speak of them with so much ease. I'm not going to go into details about the specific of what I was talking to you about.
Well, we can just say the one thing was, it was something from my teenage years, and it was some difficult situations with parents and being embarrassed by parents in a pretty substantial fashion.
Correct. And the way you talked about it was like giving the parent like the benefit of the doubt, like they're human beings, they are bound to make mistakes. And so what? You know? And I was just like, dude, we were talking to a friend and I was like, there's so many people that I know that their parents did something to them and they are dealing with like a lot of trauma, you know? And I will speak for myself. Like, I did not grow up with a father, and until my 30s, it's like, it was really, really difficult to let that go. And I think I just, I was like, my dad did what he did. I don't know his reasons, and I'm just gonna live my life, like, he has his own trauma. He has his own demons. I don't know what he's dealing with. And I forgive him, And yeah, was my life a bit difficult because he wasn't in my life? Yes, it was. But whatever happened, happened. But that did not come easy for me. But for you, some of the things, like, I don't know, parents did, like, it's just like, you're just like, yeah, it's so easy for you to give people the benefit of the doubt. And I so admire you for that. Because I expect it's going to be like a big deal. And those things keep showing up. Like, someone will say something shitty and you're going to think like it's funny or it's silly. And then you're just going to let it go. And I'm like, wait, no, they did not say that. They did not do that. And you're just like, yeah, they did.
I can think of some of those examples you're speaking of. I've had to...
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, like, it's when you said, like, your mom was like, can you believe that so-and-so got divorced? And you're like, like, of course I believe that they got divorced. It's just, someone else would be like shocked about it, but you don't, like, things don't faze you easily.
That's true. Things don't. Yeah. Well, thank you. Helps to be curious. It's like, well, what's the purpose of that? What's that purpose of that in my life?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I love that about you.